The Breakfast Club is turning 30 years old. Can you believe it? To celebrate, the film will be re-released in a limited amount of theaters on March 31st. So, our movie critic, Richard Roeper, and I decided the iconic film about 5 high school students, the jock, the princess, the brain, the basket case, and the criminal, are brought together for one unforgettable Saturday in detention, would be the perfect film for our next View and Chew. So take a look.
Questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
I'll give you the answer to that question, Mr. Bender, next Saturday. Don't mess with the bull, young man. You'll get the horns.
Okay, so Rich, I found the perfect place for us to go for breakfast, the Sugar Bowl, and we're in Des Plaines because the Breakfast Club was filmed in Des Plaines.
Right here, right in this beautiful town.
So it's been 30 years since the Breakfast Club came out. Does it still stand up?
You know, it's interesting. I hadn't seen it for a long time now. It's the 30th anniversary. And, of course, if people don't know, it's this iconic movie. Some say the greatest high school movie ever made. And when it came out, gee, it was kind of revolutionary because it was basically 5 characters, a few adult cameos, but 5 characters in a library. It still touches on a lot of issues that are so prevalent today, where you're talking about different types of stereotypes, you know, the nerd and the jock and the burnout and the princess. And then there are other types of characters as well, but I think that all holds up.
Yeah.
Here you guys go enjoy.
Thank you so much. Okay, so this is the Sugar Bowl waffle named after the namesake of the restaurant. I picked this for the basket case because it obviously has vanilla ice cream, Georgia pecans, dusted with cinnamon and topped with pure honey. And I noticed in the scene she was eating a lot of sugar.
This is the Ali Sheedy character, right? Okay, perfect.
What do you think? Good?
Looks awesome.
I mean, that much ice cream for breakfast, right?
Right. Sugar Bowl waffle. That was my rap name in the 80s as well. I don't know if you realize that.
I really need to see that album cover. There's something to be said, I think, for when this film came into your life. And as I know that you watched it when it came out. For me, my family was just new immigrants back in the 80s when this film came out. John Hughes movies didn't really infiltrate our immigrant bubble, but
I understand what you're saying. Well, it's interesting, too, because John Hughes would acknowledge this, you know, some of the criticisms, not so much during the times, but in years that have come since then. His movies are about the white suburban experience. There are very few minority characters in any John Hughes movie, and unfortunately, one of the most famous is like the Asian character in 16 Candles, who is a horrible stereotype. I mean, it's embarrassing to see it these days. I mean, they actually have like a gong playing when they say his name.
What's happening, hot stuff?
Hey. Enjoy. This is the All-American burrito. Can you guess for the All-American?
All-American for the jock?
Absolutely.
For Emilio Estevez, the wrestler?
Yeah.
Okay.
And of course, his lunch had like 30 different components.
Bringing out the sandwich, another sandwich, digging into the bag. It was like a whole grocery bag, right?
A lot of carb content. So this has eggs, sausage, peppers, onions, homemade hash browns, and cheddar cheese. And of course, this will get you through the wrestling match tonight.
Absolutely.
Okay? Are you ready to take it on the mat?
Pumped. Let's do it.
This movie is kind of an anthem about rebellion, right?
Absolutely.
I don't ever want to be an adult. Adults suck. The parts I did find very touching were the confessional parts.
You've got to be number 1. I won't tolerate any losers in this family.
Well, yeah, I mean that was the beauty of the writing there, because I mean it was still painted in a lot of broad strokes and there was a lot of physical humor, but each character we got to know a little bit more, and they weren't what we originally thought about them. Judd Nelson is the catalyst. He's the guy, his Bender character. He's the guy that he provokes everybody else, and it's interesting because you watch the performance and people either loved it and thought he was going to be the next James Dean, or thought this kid's overacting his way right out of this movie.
Philly cheesesteak. Nice. Okay, so the Philly cheesesteak for the criminal. This one was kind of hard for me because he didn't bring a lunch. He stole a lunch. He's always leaving a mark wherever he goes. So this is like really messy. It's a lot to handle. You're not going to get out of this unscathed.
Spoiler alert, the movie's been out for 30 years. He has the most dramatic story arc because he's this big bully, and then we find out, of course, that he's the victim of physical and verbal and psychological abuse at home. I think they really drive the point home in the scene with the teacher, where the teacher gets right in his face and is basically becoming his father. I mean, it's, you know, it's a clear father metaphor there.
But he's kind of being like his father and bullying everybody else into these confessions.
And you know what? We always read about this, the cycle of abuse.
Get on your feet, pal. Let's find out how tough you are. I want to know right now how tough you are. Come on.
Was this like your high school?
Yes. Actually, I mean, my high school was much more diverse, but I mean, I was, you know...
Were you in detention a lot?
No. I was more like Ferris Bueller. I worked it really well. But I mean, I played sports, so, you know, you're kind of considered a jock, and we did, you know, there were nerds, people picked on, all the stuff that's happening in high schools now.
Here you guys go. Florentine Benedict.
Okay, this is the Florentine Benedict. I picked this for the princess.
Molly Ringwald's character.
And of course, she's very fancy, very refined, was eating sushi in the movie.
Revolutionary for the mid-'80s.
In detention.
So this is the most fitting dish in a breakfast at the Sugar Bowl.
With hollandaise sauce and spinach, so very fancy. Now, had I seen this when I was younger, I mean, probably would have loved it. Like, seeing it now, I'm like, well, it's not, I don't know. I don't know how I felt about it.
It didn't speak to you.
I guess, except for the confessional parts. That part spoke to me. And I thought when they were being really raw and honest with each other, I thought that was true. You have those moments with people that you don't necessarily even like, or they're not even in your world, but you share those moments with someone, and then you never like see them again. And that's what's going to happen. They had this moment together. They were stuck together on this island. They had to confess to each other whether they wanted to or not.
And that was kind of cool because they do address that. We're like, okay, we're doing all this bonding, but next week in the hallway, you're going to ignore me, and you're going to be this or that.
School is like one of the few places where you're forced to be with people that you would normally never be with. It's a diverse group of folks.
It's really funny you mention that, G, because we were talking about how there was none of the modern technology was around. But now, of course, there's Facebook and all this. And, you know, sometimes I'll hear from people I went to high school with on Facebook, and it's great, but it's like, if I wanted to keep in touch with you, we would have kept in touch.
See, you're mean. You wouldn't talk to them after detention.
That's
you see?
true.
You're like the princess.
Thank you. That's what people always say, that I'm the princess.
Peanut butter jelly French toast.
Can you guess who I picked this for?
This has got to be for Anthony Michael Hall's Brian the Brain, right? Because he had the PBJ, right?
Yeah, even with the crust cut off.
I didn't even know this existed until right now.
And you can pick the jelly, whatever jelly you'd like.
I love this country. Now, John Hughes he remains one of my favorite filmmakers, and he really did elevate the youth movie, the high school movie, to places it had never been before. Much more realistic. There was language, there was sex, there was drug use. I still think it's one of his best movies. I'm a huge Ferris Bueller's Day Off fan. I've said that many, many times on the record. I still think probably John Hughes' most complete film is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because it addressed, you know, bigger issues.
I love John Hughes. I definitely love Ferris Bueller. Also, Home Alone.
Home Alone.
Right?
You know, the first Home Alone became this huge phenomenon. But I still think The Breakfast Club holds up. I'm glad it's getting a lot of attention for the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, definitely. I can see why it's so beloved, and like talking about it and learning more about it. People treasure it.
Once we finish up here at the Sugar Bowl, I want you to sit alone by yourself and take out a piece of paper. Someone will explain to you what that is, and a pen, and I want you to write 1,000 words about who you are.
Okay.
And I expect that by Monday morning. Don't mess with the bowl, you'll get the horns.
Well, this has been View and Chew with the master manipulator, businessman, and what would you say I am?
Well, we'll find out when you turn in your essay, young lady. Or I'll see you next Saturday at 7 a.m.
I've got you for the rest of your natural-born life if you don't watch your step. You want another one?
Yes.
You got it. You got another one right there.
What'd you think?
Awesome breakfast. Awesome breakfast talk.
Good conversation. Excellent. All right.
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you at the next time.
You got it.
All right.
Thank you very much. That's my Judd Nelson impersonation. The other Judd Nelson impersonation would be to go into witness protection because we haven't seen him pretty much since that movie.
Well, you're our bad boy, so thanks so much. You know, our friends at Universal Home Entertainment wanted to make sure that everyone in our studio audience goes home with a copy of the 30th anniversary edition of The Breakfast Club on Blu-ray and digital HD. But that's not all. Now, if you stop into the Sugar Bowl and Des Plaines today and say the words View and Chew, you'll get 20% knocked off of your bill. So that's pretty awesome,
That's
right?
awesome.
What's coming up next, Ryan?
It is. I'll tell you one thing. Breakfast Club in my top 10 all-time favorite movies. What a great film. All right, coming up, I'm going to be chatting with Lori Rackle about some TV-inspired travel ideas. And later, the Chicago Tribune's Chris Jones is here to talk about theater shows in April. It's our must-do month. This show, it will come right back. There's Lori.